A horrific tragedy that's shocking Hollywood. Legendary director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner found brutally murdered in their home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles, their throats slashed. Nick Reiner, the son of Rob, arrested and booked for murder. He was originally held on a $4 million bail, but that status has been changed to no bail. Just months ago, Rob had set aside politics while reacting to the brutal murder of Charlie Kirk.
That should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems.
Harold Ford, you knew Rob Reiner.
I did. I met him 25 years ago when, during the election of President, then Governor Bush and Al Gore, the day of the election, he and several people from Hollywood came to Tennessee to try to be helpful to Al Gore, and we spent 24 to 36 hours together and maintain an acquaintanceship and friendship. My heart goes out to his family and to all of his loved ones and people who knew him extremely well. I watched Billy Crystal walk down the street. He and I believe in his wife, as they were obviously devastated and heartbroken about what happened. I listened to many around the country today and last night, and I woke up last night at Greg and I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and I
try not to wake you.
I walked in the kitchen and saw the headline. I thought I was dreaming. I thought that maybe there was something in my eyes and then to read that. I'll say this. I don't like saying this, but I have to tell you, listening to him, what he said, and what we've been talking about, right and wrong. I hope President Trump comes back out and makes a different statement about Rob Reiner. This was an American. You can disagree with him wholeheartedly, but to be killed by your child, a man who loved his son, loved his family, clearly something went awry, fatally awry. My heart goes out, and my condolences go out, and my prayers go out to his family again, and may his life be a blessing for them, and may Miss Reiner's life be a blessing for them as well. It's a tough thing for many people who knew him and loved him.
Emily.
I keep thinking about how all of Rob Reiner's films were. The common denominator was like the humanity, how, there's some angst and but it's human, and it always resolves on these notes of like love and the connection and relationships, and so deeply personal. And my favorite movies, so many of them are his, like The Sure Thing, and of course When Harry Met Sally, and The Princess Bride. And so to have such a tragic and violent death at the hands of his son, allegedly, is just so deeply shocking. And I sort of think about, and I don't mean to sound trite because I mean this, but it's like how they say in first class, first class isn't soundproof. First class isn't smell proof, meaning you pay all this money and you have this great seat, but you can still, smell if someone stinks. You can still hear the baby screaming behind you. And the point is that here's a family that has so much money and fame and accomplishment and success, and yet there is still allegedly deep angst and violence and a horrific issue that no amount of money or no amount of connections or popularity or being on the world stage could fix, which is a very sick and troubled and homicidal, allegedly, son.
Dana.
Well, I do think he represented a great little period in American movie history. And thank goodness he loved a rom-com. I loved When Harry Met Sally, of course, The Princess Bride. But looking back today, when he was Meathead on Archie Bunker, I mean, that was so funny. I loved watching that with my family. So he gave us a lot of entertainment. And I hope that we can extend also some prayers for their daughter who supposedly came upon this scene. And may she be held by God, because this is going to be a tough one for her to go forward.
Sure will be. Greg.
I think, before this happened, I think that Rob Reiner's wife were in the worst situation any parent or family member could ever have imagined, because it's unmanageable. Mm-hmm. It is hell on earth. Just imagine a person as a child who's no longer that person. They're not that person. It's a drug in a human form. You see them on the streets in New York. That is not a human being. That is a drug that is making decisions for its own preservation, which is going against your own survival. It's got to be the worst thing ever. And the worst thing about it, there's nothing you can do but pray that he won't come back. You try to hope maybe the city, you think about it, could they have institutionalized this guy? He went through rehab, I don't know, a dozen times. This guy, and also rehab is pointless unless you have a system outside it. That's why you keep going in and you don't drink or do drugs. Then you come out and you drink and do drugs. Some people take it as a vacation. I happen to think rehabs don't work unless you have a system outside of it that keeps you sober. And it's just a shame that it's an equal opportunity tragedy. The question always is how it can be prevented, and in some ways you can't.
Yep, so sad.
If Joe Biden had said this about anybody, I would have attacked him and said he was completely wrong. I do hope the president comes back and corrects himself.
Well, he was asked to, and he didn't. And I think the thing is, you don't have to like the things that he says all the time. It is why in my filter, Trump is always words versus deeds. I don't have to like what he says. In fact, I can hate what he says, but I can also think in his brain, he's going, this guy compared me to Hitler. He put a target on my back. I don't like him. It's like, well, if it were me, I'd go like, but I'm sorry he's dead. But he can't let that go. We don't have to like it. I just look at the deeds. But I get why you're upset.
It's wrong. I don't disagree with you, but it's wrong, and we should be able to call out right and wrong. We've talked about it on the show this earlier today. That's wrong what he did.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.